It's been 4 years since we first released this series to the world of Mortal Kombat X. Now Mortal Kombat 11 is finally on shelves and in your hands, it was a given that Mustard and myself would bring it back, new and improved. For returning players to the franchise, newcomers, aspiring competitors, and much more, let me welcome you to an ongoing tutorial series for Mortal Kombat 11, which we call From Casual to Competitive. This series will cover all aspects of the game at a higher level, starting simple, as you might expect, progressively becoming more advanced as the episodes move forward. The first episode brings us all back to basics. For a player just starting out with the game, this is a collection of important information that I think every absolute newcomer must learn to get you started. It will cover a variety of topics, but don't worry, each of these topics will get greater attention in later episodes.
Sector had the right idea.
About what, insect?
Lin Kuei flesh is disposable.
The absolute first thing you must do is to make sure that if you're planning on playing ranked or even in tournaments, you're practicing with one of the tournament preset variations. In regular play, some of the variations that you see are not variations that qualify for ranked play. You'll find that they appear different in tournament mode, for instance. It's a simple solution because you can simply create the variation yourself in Customize. Make a variation. Go through any of the cosmetic stuff that you wish, and on the ability selector, you can select a preset. On the preset select, a little cup on 2 variations indicates that these are the competitive versions. Select the one you want, and now you're ready for ranked. If you've ever watched a Mortal Kombat tournament, you've probably wondered why the commentators constantly use numbers when naming moves. This is simply because as Mortal Kombat is playable on multiple formats, using numerical terminology means that any player from any console can follow what moves you're talking about easily. The numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 represent front punch, back punch, front kick, and back kick. Simply put, here is each number and its corresponding attack with it. 1 is front punch, 2 is back punch, 3 is front kick, and 4 is back kick. When discussing movement inputs, it's up, back, forward, and down. If we were to use this system to describe an uppercut, for example, it's down and back punch to execute. In competitive terms, this move is called a down 2. Fundamentally, we want to deal damage to win the game. Attacks are how we obtain this damage, but attacks have a variety of ways to connect, and here they are. A high attack is often fast and recovers quickly. This attack will hit an opponent standing, but will miss if the opponent is in a crouched state. A mid is often a little bit slower, but cannot be crouched to make miss like a high can. Mids are useful for an opponent expecting a high attack and is a go-to button for many situations. Overheads are attacks that can only be blocked while standing. Crouch block this and you get hit for free. On the opposite end of this, low attacks can be blocked crouching and will hit the opponent if they're standing up. If you face a defensive opponent who likes to block, grabs are unblockable and deal decent damage standalone. They are highs though, so be careful. Finally, jump-ins are possible in the air and work on a straight jump or diagonal. Jump-in punches are better for combos, whereas jump-in kicks are more dangerous and harder for the opponent to deal with. Possibly the most underrated button in your entire arsenal, the block button is your one-way ticket to preventing incoming damage. Usually R2 or right trigger on a pad, for instance, it's always good to make sure that you're ready to block the opponent's attack, especially when you've just done an attack that they themselves have successfully blocked in return. You still take a little bit of damage if you block, but the opponent will deal what's called chip damage, where far less damage is dealt instead. It's always a good idea to make sure that you block if you're in any doubt up close. If you block the opponent's attack, you usually get granted a turn to press a button. If you do an attack and try to go for another one if they've blocked you, you run a pretty high risk of being interrupted before your second attack can come through. Never go all out on offense against a defensive opponent. They'll use it against you absolutely. Up next are combo strings. We're not going to dive into crazy detail here, but here's how you do them. Every character has a selection of pre-built combos with a specific combination of buttons. Input the commands in the right order and the combo will come out. We call these combo strings, or strings for short. A couple of examples with Sub-Zero would be his 1-2-4, his 2-1-2, or his 3-3. Some strings involve a movement direction, such as Sub-Zero's back 1-4-3, as this string starts from Sub-Zero's back 1. Special moves are the bread and butter of a character's personality. They shape playstyles, they work in combos, and can be fantastic standalone as well. Competitively, we call them specials. Inputting a special is entirely dependent on the move itself. It's usually movement first, then followed by a button press. Sub-Zero, for example, can perform his Ice Ball with down forward 1, or his Cold Shoulder with back forward 3. This will double up as his slide as well, but the Cold Shoulder is simply an ability. To do specials cleanly, I will always suggest that you see the special exactly as a sequence and never try to do it too fast. I know this sounds vague, but when you see Sub-Zero's Ice Ball as down, then forward, then 1, you'll start to see the importance of clean inputs very quickly. Of course, you must be fast with the input to get it to work, but don't rush it and don't panic, because that is where mistakes are made. Special moves can be amplified with the Environment Interact button. This gives specials that can be amplified increased damage or utility, sometimes both. Amplified timing is entirely dependent on the move itself. The final two things I want to discuss are very important for MK11's new additions mechanically. Crushing Blow is when an attack can be majorly powered up by meeting certain requirements in-game. These requirements change from move to move, but the bottom line is that you'd best get used to what moves you have that can Crushing Blow and try to get used to setting them up. You can tell which moves can Crushing Blow by the move list. It appears in white text. Using Sub-Zero as our dummy again, Sub-Zero's 1-2-4 string will Crushing Blow if it's used in a combo of 8 hits or more, dealing increased damage. Sub's forward 2-4 will Crushing Blow if the opponent gets caught trying to attack, once again dealing majorly increased damage. Crushing Blows will only work once a game for each separate attack. They're vital in certain situations, so don't waste them. You can set your controls to Crushing Blow held check, which only lets a move Crushing Blow if you hold the button that you press to trigger the attack down, giving you much more control and letting you spend this valuable resource whenever you want.
Ask for mercy.
And at last, the game's super move, Fatal Blow. Fatal Blow will become available when you're on 30% health left or lower. It's a wonderful way to either get back into the fight or mount a comeback, as Fatal Blows add a ton of extra damage by themselves or in combos. Perform this attack by pressing block and stance change at the same time. That's both triggers on a pad. Fatal Blows all start up differently, and will take practice landing successfully with each character that you learn. The important note is that you can only get one Fatal Blow a game. If you use it to win a round, you won't have it for future rounds in your game, so definitely make sure that it's worth it. This was a rather broad introduction to the world of Mortal Kombat 11, but I wanted this video in particular to cover a range of different topics. With future videos, I plan on going over specific subjects in far greater detail, but come on, it's launch week. Many players will be jumping into this game for the first time, so I thought that different topics was a little bit more ideal. Tune in to more of our content to come, as we'll be going over every single topic that competitive Mortal Kombat has to offer. Thank you all for watching this first episode of Casual to Competitive, and I'll see you next time.
Wins.